My name is David M. Miller. The family's been probably around here for 100 years, and we always grazed everything we could.
Bill, go with these calves here. It's just a little dark yet to turn the cows out.
This is the way I feed my bull calves. The heifer calves are out in the hoop building with nurse cows. This way of farming has a value in the next generation, what we try to teach our children. That's actually, well, maybe what we work for is for the future. Every calf gets a name when it's born, and then it'll have a name for the rest of its life. That's Happy, that's Karen, that's Emmeline, the one back there is Jasmine. We have this standard that we need to graze a certain amount, but I like to graze, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's just the quality of the milk you just cannot beat. You have a lot better omega-3 and 6 ratio, and your CLAs are a lot higher. We do not use any hormones, any chemicals, any antibiotics. I've heard guys complaining after a big rain how, oh, it washed the fields. Well, I do not have that issue because I don't have any bare soils. If you ask me, the closer you walk with nature, the better nature will treat you.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to our September Community Conversations. I'm your host, Emily Baxter, and it's been a while since we got together. Our last Community Conversations was back in June, and we celebrated National Dairy Month by highlighting the amazing work that our family farms do with Kalona SuperNatural. We took it even further, and we focused on how they produce organic, grass-fed dairy that comes to be Kalona SuperNatural. You've just viewed a video. That was a professional video that was done by one of our local farms, just highlighting the good work they do. So tonight, we're going to go over some of our frequently asked questions. We get a lot of comments, a lot of messages on social media with all kinds of comments and questions, and we've chosen some of those but most importantly, we want to hear from you. So at any time during the event, please comment on Facebook, and we would love to address your questions live. So I want to start by a question that I used to get a lot. I used to do the demos in the stores when we were out in the stores. I was that demo girl out in the local grocery store, and one of the very frequent questions was, how long does your milk last? You know, what does that sell by date mean? And we have some specifics for you. So Kalona SuperNatural, of course, conducts lots of testing to determine when the best sell by date is for all of our products. So the short answer is that the sell by date on the milk jug will usually give you 5 to 7 days after you open it to enjoy it. But that, of course, is dependent on how the milk is kept, so how cold it's kept. Like anything, milk is perishable, so like fruits and vegetables and all kinds of things. They don't come with your raspberries that you just picked up at the grocery store. They don't come with a date stamped on every raspberry that says, hey, use us until this date, because they're perishable, and it depends on how you keep them. So we do have 2 recommendations. First is to consume fresh dairy within 5 to 7 days of opening. Once dairy products are exposed to oxygen, the milk naturally starts to lose its quality. Now, cultured dairy products such as our buttermilk, kefir, yogurt, cottage cheese, sour cream, those can be enjoyed a little longer past opening, so 14 days or longer. And the second thing is to keep your dairy, fresh or cultured, stored in a sealed container back of your fridge. Now, how many of you have the French door refrigerator and your milk is right there in the door because that's where it's easy to grab? The kids can get to it when they need it. We actually recommend that you store your milk further back in the fridge because every time you open that door, the temperature changes. So if it's swinging in the door, it's getting a temperature change where we want it to stay consistently cold. So that's our second recommendation. All right, so I've got my 2 friends, Sam and Joe, with me tonight, and I get to ask them the questions. So welcome, guys. And before we start, I want you to introduce yourselves. We'll start with Sam. We'll have Sam introduce, and for fun, tell us your favorite Kalona product and how you like to enjoy it.
You're muted, Sam.
I'm the producer. I should know better. My favorite product is the chocolate milk. I like to enjoy it too much. I put on a little bit of weight in my old age here.
Hey, this is the perfect time of the year for chocolate milk, though, because I have had our chocolate milk just heated up.
Mm-hmm.
And just gentle heat on the stovetop. If you use the microwave, in the microwave, but gentle heat on the stovetop, pour it in a glass. It's delicious, straight up as a hot chocolate.
Yeah, that's how we like it in my house. It's called 2-year-olds call it warm up. When they want either the white milk or the chocolate milk, they say, "Mama, can I have warm up?" That's what that means.
And just another plug for it. I get pictures from people who drink it after training. It's the perfect balance of carbs. A lot of people know this. Chocolate milk's the perfect balance of carbs and protein. So they send me pictures of them chugging it at their gym.
Yep. Yeah. All right, Joe.
Well, Sam didn't introduce him, so I'm going to introduce him for him. Sam's our marketing manager, and he's the one. We'll give you a link at the end, or give it a shout out at the end. But he's the one that does our monthly newsletters that go out to consumers, manages our Facebook page, but does so much behind the scene. In fact, we're doing some exciting stuff right now that is going to be rolling out here. Love the work Sam's doing to help tell our story to you all. I'm Joe Miller, sales and brand manager for Kalona SuperNatural. I help get it into the stores that you shop at. So we really appreciate when you're out there telling people about our products and telling retailers they ought to bring in our products. It makes my job a lot easier and a lot more fun. But I love it. So my favorite product, I got 2 I'm going to shout out because my favorite one is our kefir. For breakfast, a glass of our kefir is just absolutely delicious. It's just really good. But I got to give this one a shout because you remember that hot chocolate Sam's talking about, or the chocolate milk Sam's talking about. This evening, right now is peach season. And for dessert, and I told my wife, I said, I'm not eating mine yet. I'm bringing it on the show. For dessert, she cut up some fresh peaches and put some fresh whipped cream, slow whipped. If you listen to our show, we did, I think it was the second community conversations we did on whipping cream. We talked about whipping up slow whipped cream. Drizzle honey on the top, and then you see those little black specks. They are smoked salt. So fresh peaches, whipped cream, and smoked salt. It's decadent. It's delicious. And I'm telling you, if we don't get questions from anyone, I'll just sit here and enjoy. I got a spoon. I'll be happy just to enjoy some.
You know, the Eagles are playing Dallas on Monday Night Football, so
Sam's ready to get it over with already. Very
Aw.
good.
Okay, well,
Happy-
we got to do questions then.
okay, let's go.
So I'll jump in get us started with a question, but if at any time you want to ask us anything, please comment, because we would much rather answer your live questions. But we'll focus on some of our FAQs that we get on social media. So first question I have, and this is, oh gosh, this just happens a lot, is what do you mean by minimally processed? So that's one of our taglines. We focus on minimally processed dairy products. So Sam, I'm giving you the first one.
Yay! I get to explain that all the time. So there are sort of three key things. The first is that our milk is pasteurized at the lowest temperature allowed by law. The second is that it's non-homogenized, where the cream rises to the top naturally. And then the third would be simple and clean ingredients. We try not to put anything that we don't have to put in any of our products. A lot of people will add vitamin A or vitamin D. We only do that when we absolutely have to or are required to by law.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so actually our whole milk doesn't have vitamin A or D in it. It's pure milk as nature intended it to be. Fresh from the cow, minimally processed. Sorry, Sam, I'm taking away, but
No, go ahead.
You got me going there on the vitamin A and D, because I don't think a lot of people realize that it's required by law on the 2% and non-fat. And the reason it's required by law is because it's one of the ingredients that's found in the fat of the milk. It's naturally found in the fat of milk. So the law requires that if you're going to remove fat, make it a low fat, reduce fat, non-fat, you have to bring it back up to the levels.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in the law, and there's if you want to take a vitamin D supplement because you don't get enough sun, go for it. If your doctor recommends it, please do. If you want to take a vitamin A supplement, please do. But we decided we wanted to keep the milk as simple as possible, and that means without any additives unless absolutely necessary. So that's what we did with the whole milk. Sam.
Yep, that's true.
Okay, well, then I have to highlight, so you talked about the minimally processed, but the pasteurization, that was another question when I'm out in stores talking to people. The first question is your milk pasteurized? And I would say, well, by law, yes, we do pasteurize. But Sam, explain to us how we pasteurize in a more gentle form.
Sure. So pasteurization at the lowest possible temperature allowed by law is called vat pasteurization, or some people know it as batch pasteurization. Basically, the milk is heated to about 145 degrees and held there for about 30 minutes. So that's the lowest temperatures possible. It keeps it as fresh as possible. It distorts the milk as little as possible. It makes it easier for your body to recognize and digest. We get a lot of people that write in and say they're able to digest our milk where they can't digest other kinds of milk. And I think this is really important. A lot of organic dairy companies are moving towards ultra high temp pasteurization, and that's completely different, a completely different process. And that's where the milk is heated to 280 degrees Fahrenheit, and which basically sterilizes it. It doesn't even need to be refrigerated at that point. It's packed in antiseptic packaging. It could just sit on the shelf.
Ultra's good, right? Like when you see the milk, you see those other brands.
Yeah, that's a marketing.
That's a good thing, right?
That's what our marketing people do, right? And marketing, they're putting it on the package like it's a great thing, figuring the consumer just doesn't know better. And it's true, it has a much longer shelf life. But when you see a much longer shelf life, you can probably be sure that it's not as fresh as it could be. It's not as natural as it could be. Joe?
Well, I mean, you make a great point, Sam. I want to go back to your comments that Emily made earlier about how fresh is the milk and how soon you should use it. you're absolutely correct. Ultra-temp pasteurized milk does not need to be refrigerated as long as it's put in an aseptic package, a sterilized package, a package that will keep any air out of it. The thing is, all milk, once it's open, needs to be consumed within 5 to 7 days. That doesn't matter whether it's ultra-temp pasteurized or whether it's raw milk or, like ours, a fresh milk that's low-temp pasteurized. Once it's open, you want to consume it within 5 to 7 days. That's when it's the freshest. That's when it's going to taste the best. It's not going to be souring within that time period. Once it stretches out beyond that, so just because your package says on it, today, it might say October 31st. Just because you can find a bottle of milk that says October 31st, sitting in your refrigerator, it won't last till October 31st. And I think that's the point where a lot of people miss with ultra high temp is it does give them the stability. And this is the reason why commercial dairies do it. It gives them the stability to ship it across the country without having to worry about it. In regular packaging, they're putting 90, 120 days on it. So they have plenty of time to ship it across the country, let it sit in a warehouse, in a delivery truck somewhere, and then get it to you. Our whole focus is about making milk the way it was meant to taste. Getting the milk to you, the consumers, as fresh as possible overnight.
So Joe, talk a little more, talk about non-homogenization. Give us the difference of what that means.
Yeah, non-homogenize is a process, or homogenization is a process the milk goes through. After it's pasteurized, it goes through a process that breaks up those fat molecules. So fat or cream is naturally lighter than milk until you pulverize it in a machine that breaks up those fat molecules so small they stay suspended in the milk. Why is that a big deal? There's various opinions out there. Our choice is, again, to deliver it to you as fresh and as close to the natural product, straight from the cow, as nature intended it to be, the way milk was meant to taste. So yeah, I mean, it's about the freshness of the milk. Did you have anything to add to that, Sam?
Oh, I just love why they started doing it. It was just a clever marketing trick to be able to sell it to rich people in France back in the 1800s. They pitched it as different kind of milk. It's more sophisticated. It's better. When in fact that wasn't any better at all. And then when it came to the United States, cream was prized. They would skim off the cream and sell, and you make the cream into butter. But unscrupulous merchants, when the milk was homogenized, could skim off all the cream, say the cream was still there, and nobody knew the difference. And now it's just become part of the industry. People kind of ask us sometimes, right? Like, why does your milk do this? What do you do to make your milk this way? And we're like, nothing. We don't do anything. That's the whole point.
It naturally separates.
Yeah, this is way.
Yeah. Well, that's where I thought you were going to go initially, which is really interesting on the France piece, because I mean, it is something that's sophisticated. It's more processed, but the whole piece about homogenization allowed. Of course, we're all regulated by law, so none of us are saying that any homogenized product out there has more fat taken off of it, but because it's all regulated by law on how much fat each of the products you're selling has. But the whole concept of in the early days, when it was homogenized, they could take off more of the fat and consumers wouldn't know the difference. It was all homogenized and it was all even and blended together and you didn't know it.
It was all a marketing trick and a sneaky sales trick.
So we want you to see that fat, that cream on the top, that delicious cream. And can I just say quickly, there's some people have questions about how to use it or what to do with it. First of all, take your bottle and shake it side to side. Don't shake it vertically. Shaking it vertically will compact the cream at the top. shaking it side to side will slowly blend that cream into the milk. And when I say slowly, it'll actually speed up the process of shaking it in the milk. The second piece is, scoop a bit out and just try it. You'll taste what real cream tastes like. Add it a little bit to your coffee. Oh, it's so delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely makes the milk taste and feel different and smell different. We get a lot of comments from people who've grown up in different companies where they don't homogenize the milk. Mexico, Eastern Europe, India, and they love our milk because it reminds them of when they were growing up, their grandmothers or mothers cooking, reminds them of a place and time that's very different now.
My favorite product to skim the cream off of is the eggnog, because it has a little bit of those spices in it too. And yeah, it's delicious. I used to love when I did demos and I'd pour that first glass, I'd have to try it to make sure, like, it was up to snuff, right? In that first glass, I always had a little extra cream.
Sure.
Woo, that was good stuff. Okay, so before we go on, we would love to answer any questions that you have. So please put some questions in the comments so we can address those. I see Cindy's paying attention here and learning a lot about, the milk and the difference of the milk in boxes and things like that, cartons. That does bring up a good point. Why don't we bottle in a glass or in a carton like that, Joe?
It's a great question. So it's one we hear of a lot because we're all considering our environment and what are we doing to reduce our impact on the environment. It's a big thing within Kalona as well. We're looking at what are our farms doing to be regenerative? What are we doing to be sustainable and make the soil, the air, the water better for future generations than it is today? So we get questions because we have such a high quality product. Why aren't you putting it in glass, carton? And there's multiple reasons. When we started in 2005, we started bottling in 2005. Obviously, the process of getting a cream restarted started well before that, but our founder was looking at the different options out there. It was a group of farmers that had gotten together and they were developing the concept, and they had were looking at different packaging options, and they wanted something that was unique, that would allow the milk to stand out, would allow people to see the milk, that would be would feature the milk with the pride that they were putting into the milk on the farm. They chose the clear plastic bottle because people could see the milk, but it's also highly recyclable or easily recyclable. Plastic is one of the easiest recycled packaging. Maybe you could argue outside of cardboard, and I'm going to talk about the cartons in just a minute, but it's one of the easiest recyclable packages out there. Our plastic, the purity of the plastic we use, never had any BPA, BPS, or one of the other things that comes into plastic at times is GMO corn is used sometimes to make plastic. And it's one of the things we specifically looked at to avoid any use of GMO products in our packaging as well. The clear the bottles also have a UV inhibitor, which prevents oxidization of the milk. So why don't we use glass? Well, glass is very heavy to ship from location to location. It requires less product can go on a truck when it's being shipped. It requires two-way transportation. So in today's modern transportation, a truck typically will go out, deliver products, pick up more products, deliver it around, and then come back. So you're filling that truck the whole way around. There's no wasted driving. It's a full truck the whole time. It's the most efficient, it's the most environmentally friendly, the most effective way to deliver products. Whenever you have glass bottles, you have to bring those glass bottles back on an empty truck because you can't have sellable items in a truck with dirty glass bottles. You can't have other dirty products in a truck with glass bottles that will be used again for food items. Finally, on glass, it requires a lot of energy to wash and clean, and to clean and wash those bottles every single time, and finally sanitize them every single time before refilling. So the process when it gets into the plant requires a lot of energy and a lot of additional uh, energy and inputs is what I was trying to say, between chemicals to clean it, acids, those type of things, additional inputs to clean the bottles. And it's one of the reasons we avoided it. Sam, I know you have looked into carton some. Do you have anything to you want to share on the cartons?
Yeah, I mean they're coated with a layer of low density polyethylene, so they're just not as friendly as everybody thinks. I was new to this. I know you've worked in dairies for a long time, but I had the same reaction. Like, why not glass bottles? Why not cardboard? It just turns out it's not as environmentally friendly as people think. So with all three options, there's trade-offs.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we feel like our plastic is the perfect option, but we felt like it's the best option for us and for the product we were putting out there. Really wanted to have the best packaging available. And I can tell you, I just sat in a meeting here probably about a month and a half ago, where we were exploring other options. And if any other option comes up that we feel comfortable with and confident in, we will definitely consider it. Cartons aren't recyclable in most areas. I know they get thrown into recycling a lot, but it means they have to be filtered back out, because they're not just cardboard. They're cardboard lined with plastic on the inside. And that plastic has been melded to the cardboard. And so it's not a process of just pulling the plastic out and recycling the cardboard. At that point, it's dirty plastic and dirty cardboard, and neither of them can be recycled.
Yeah.
So, hey, we're not trying to ding anyone else and make anyone feel bad for what they're using, but it is why we are confident in what we're offering.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe, can you talk along those lines? You talked a little bit about, the shipping of glass bottles and things like that. So specify how our products go from warehouse to local store.
Yeah. So when we process it, which is a whole interesting, we touched on it just briefly tonight. And Emily, this has been a lot of fun. I think we're going to have to do this again with some more frequently asked questions. And hey, send your questions in, and we'll add them on later. But sorry, I'm taking on the host role, Emily. That's not my intention. I've enjoyed it. So after it goes through processing that night, our production team is getting in there in the wee hours of the morning. They're producing through the day, bottling through the day. That afternoon, our warehouse team is picking orders for our distributors. Now, we use distributors to get it to local retailers. And these are people with, warehouses and trucks that are bringing a lot of different natural organic products together and taking them together to the store, so that we're not making deliveries directly to the store with just one set of products. They're bringing all of it. So we can take a bunch of product to the warehouse. Throughout the next 3 or 4 days, they're going out to retailers. So that night it goes to the warehouse. The next 3 to 4 days, the distributor's taking it to the retailer. The retailer then is putting it on the shelf. So in the Midwest where we're located, you very likely can see products on the shelf within 48 to 72 hours. The further out you go, the truck might take a little longer to get to the warehouse, but then the warehouse will immediately begin shipping it. So if we're shipping our yogurt to California, as we do, it's going to take 3 to 4 days for us to ship it to California. We incidentally, again, going back to the environmental impact, we combine that with other people's products going to California from the Midwest. It takes 3 to 4 days for that yogurt to get to California. Then they begin shipping it out to their, I say 3 to 4. I think actually California is 4 to 5. It takes a little bit. They're out there a little ways. But it's all about focusing on getting it there as fresh as possible.
Yeah. So Sam, I know we're running close on time, but I do want to get this out there. How can people find out if their local store or where to find Kalona SuperNatural products?
Look at that, the store locator page on our website.
Lovely.
Just go to our website and look for the store locator page. If they don't have it or you don't see it, the most effective way to get it is to ask the store to carry it. People ask me, well, can you contact the store? And I'm like, yes, we can contact the store, but the stores respond much better to consumer demand than they do to a company that wants to get its products in there.
Right.
So there's a big button for that too. And I promise you, if you fill out the form, I will email you back.
And just to be clear, when you ask Sam, can you contact the store? He's sending me an email and saying, Joe, you got to reach out to the store. We have someone that's interested. Get out, reach out to the store. So we make every attempt possible to follow up on it. But
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, if you think something's there, it's not just feel free to email us at organic@kalonasupernatural.com and I can look it up. Sometimes the stores have it faster than our website data gets updated. We're just a small team here.
Yes.
We're very small. Yeah.
So within the last year that we put out the French onion dip? That's our newest product, is French onion dip. But one thing we want to question the folks that are watching and that watch later. What other products, like what ideas do you have? What would you like to see Kalona SuperNatural make? Is it a different flavor of dip that we go for? Is it, different kind of yogurt? We'd love to hear those comments and those suggestions. So you can put those in the comments here. You can send us a message on Facebook or email organic@kalonasupernatural.org. .com. Shoot, I was so close. All right. Before we leave tonight, I do want to tell everybody about some really cool cooking classes that are going to be taking place in October. So we've partnered with a group called Sticky Fingers, and my kids and I actually got to take one of their two. We took two of their online classes, and they're so much fun, and they're specifically for children, for a kid chef to make. So let's see, October 13th at 5:30 Central. They're doing a melty, cheesy zucchini polenta lasagna cups and incredibly easy Italian lemon soda. And I'm saying the wrong thing.
we just had that one. It was awesome.
Sorry about that. That was great. Okay, but as you'll see on the slide there, October 13th, sticky toffee gingerbread pudding and chocolate frosting. Yum. And on the 24th of October, I think that's when they're doing the jack-o'-lantern. Nope, create your own scouts. I had the wrong.
Well, there's only so much room, but there's usually 2 or 3 other things that they're doing too that aren't even listed there.
Right. Yeah. And tell us real quick how they can register for those classes.
You register officially at stickyfingerscooking.com. They'll send you. You create an account, you register there. They'll send you the recipes and everything, so you can, and you and your kids can go to the store and buy the products ahead of time. If you can't find ours, but you should be able to, but if you can't, get something that's minimally processed, grass-fed, organic. That's best, of course.
Yeah.
And I think even they'll send you a coupon, all kinds of stuff. It's really great. The instructors are fantastic. And sometimes I'm out on the farm and I come in live from the farm and show kids the cows and things.
Yes. Awesome.
He's got a lot of excited kids on that one. But yeah, no, they do a tremendous job. And just to reiterate, Sam said you create an account. You do create an account with Sticky Fingers Cooking, but it is free of charge.
Yeah.
We have partnered with Sticky Fingers. They do a great job of teaching kids how to cook and get excited about food. I mean, when kids get into cooking, they become more excited about food and trying different foods. Have you ever had? We're trying to figure out how to get your kids to enjoy eating their vegetables. Well, Sticky Fingers does classes specifically around that concept.
They work in a lot of other stuff too. They'll work in environmental stuff. They'll work in math, cultural stuff. It's really very, very cool. And the teachers are all super energetic and fun.
Yeah, they do some great, trying to figure out what's half of a cup. Things like that with my kids. And then the one thing I must not have been paying close attention because it was just recently, this past week, my 6-year-old, she was helping me crack eggs and got some eggshell in there. And she went over to the sink and she's like, oh, I got to wet my fingertips because that gets the eggshell out. And I'm like, how do you know that? And she goes, the class we took, they told me to wet my fingertips and that I can get the little eggshell out easier. So it's amazing. We loved it. It was great. But some more exciting news coming next month, October, which, let me remind you, I believe that's Friday already, is October 1st. So more exciting news. It's eggnog season for Kalona SuperNatural. So October 24th at 7 p.m., we're going to do our next community conversation, and we're going to focus on eggnog. My daughter, Lucy, will be joining me, and we've got some eggnog recipes. We're going to showcase some French toast, eggnog French toast with an eggnog yogurt dip to go with that. So please join in because it's going to be fabulous, and it just means that eggnog is going to be on the shelves soon. So that's fun. We'll see it. I should specify it. The last week of October, first week of November, you'll start to see it in your grocery, in your shelves. You're there and to the same. So that's all we have for tonight, but we would love more questions. So please keep commenting on this link if you have questions or send those in to us, and we'll be sure to address those right away. And we can also do another community conversations with those frequently asked questions. All right. See you all in October.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.